What's up guys, Ernest Langdon from Langdon Tactical here, and today we're going to talk about 92 hammer spring weight and how to select the right one for you. All right, one of the most common questions we get is what hammer spring weight should I select for my 92? And this is one of those ones where we got to turn right back around and say, well, what are you doing with the gun? If it is a competition gun or a range toy, you can kind of get away with anything and do whatever you want. We have found that the best all-around hammer spring weight with a compromise of being extremely reliable and giving you a great trigger pull is the 13-pound hammer spring. Now that hammer spring weight we found is extremely reliable in the 92, and the only exception would be when you're shooting some sort of foreign ammunition that basically has rifle primers in it, NATO spec ammunition. You may get an occasional light strike with that 13-pound hammer spring. So you may want to plus up from there. One of the biggest confusions we see is people say, okay, I got X model gun, I need a D model hammer spring. Well, the question is, what did your gun come with? If you've got a newer gun, an M9A3, a Langdon Tactical Elite LTT, or a Brigadier Tactical, it already came with a D model hammer spring in it, so buying this hammer spring is not going to make much of a difference for you. This is basically a 16-pound hammer spring. The factory 92s, prior to those models we're discussing, came with 20-pound hammer springs in them. Very heavy NATO spec hammer springs. And the D model hammer spring was built for the 92D, double action only, guns that Beretta built for US law enforcement. So significantly lighter double action, much smoother, much better pull, and a great option for you guys that may just have a factory 92. But if you've got a Brig Tac, if you've got an Elite LTT, if you've got an M9A3 and you're looking to upgrade that gun, you're going to want to go with a lighter hammer spring weight like a 13 or 14-pound hammer spring to get you to a lighter hammer spring pull. If you have a competition gun, you can easily get away with a 12-pound hammer spring, especially if you're careful about the primers or the type of ammunition you select. This is going to take quite a bit more weight off of your double action and make an even better double action trigger pull. And if you're only going to hand load and use federal primers for your 92, you could get away with an 11-pound hammer spring. And now we're talking about a 5.5-pound double action, buttery smooth. But again, this is not going to run a lot of different types of ammunition that's on the market, reliable in your 92. So the other question is, why chrome silicone? Chrome silicone as a material is more durable and more reliable over time, giving you better longevity than a standard music wire spring like most of the gun industry uses. So that's why we choose chrome silicone for our hammer springs and recoil springs and even trigger return springs for our 92 parts. Final thing, guys, we need to touch on, and there's a lot of confusion on this. The PX4 and the 92 are not the same animal when it comes to hammer spring weight. The 92D hammer spring is heavier than a stock hammer spring in a PX4. So if you put a 92D hammer spring in your PX4, you just increased your double action trigger pull. So don't try to convince or mix the two up. They're not the same thing. So in closing, guys, if you're a competition guy and you want the ultimate double action trigger pull, you can get away with the 11-pound spring if you're careful with your primers. The 12-pound spring is going to be great if you're running federal ammunition, US made primers, probably going to work great for you, get a great trigger pull. The 13-pound hammer spring is what we think is the best all-around reliability and quality of trigger pull. If you've got a D model hammer spring already and you're looking for a little bit of an improvement in trigger pull, the 14-pound hammer spring is a great way to go while still giving you ultimate reliability with probably anything you're going to find in factory ammunition. And then finally, the D model hammer spring, giving you the factory option if you definitely want to stick with factory parts, or the chrome silicone 16-pound spring, giving you a significant improvement over stock and the longevity and durability of chrome silicone. Guys, the bottom line is it comes down to what you want to do with the gun when you're selecting hammer spring weight. So go out there, give it a try, train hard, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.